Alright, so this is a No Education podcast.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Nov Education. As always, I am your host, Noved. Thank you for tuning in. It is Monday, July the 11th. This is episode 101. This is Nov Education 101, people. I hope everybody had a safe and fun weekend, and I hope you're having a good start to your work week. Let's start this shit strong. Let's end it even stronger, people. Again, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate y'all sending me messages about your takes, your comments, your disagreements with some of my takes. I love it all. I appreciate that. It was a pretty quiet sports weekend, if I say so myself, unless you were at the Dodger game or you caught that UFC fight night, RDA versus Fiziev. It was a good fight. I believe Fiziev won a TKO in the 5th round. So we'll talk about those implications, and we'll give our UFC Fantasy League update on Thursday. We'll be talking with my boy Victor the Guru at Victor93Till on Instagram. You can follow me on all social medias, Noved Ortiz at Noved Ortiz, NOVEDORTIZ, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all that good stuff. I would appreciate it very, very much. But like I said, yeah, it was a pretty quiet weekend. There was some sports news, some NFL news. There was a NBA topics, floating around, but nothing of note. I just feel like it's the calm before the storm, in the NFL. Just as, it's about to start, it's probably going to pop off. The pimple's probably going to bust as soon as we find out about Deshaun Watson's suspension, basically. And then from there, just here's some players, to keep in mind who are going to be suspended. We got Calvin Ridley, who's out for the season. Deshaun Watson will be suspended. DeAndre Hopkins is suspended for the half the season, I believe 6 games. And then you're going to have Alvin Kamara up to 6-game suspension. So just keep that in mind when you got the fantasy season coming up. But once those news starts coming in, bro, the season is really about to start. And we're going to get into some fantasy, topics later on in the episodes. But today I kind of wanted to, give a freelance, maybe a little interactive episode with some of my people. Usually on weekends like this where it's kind of slow, I'll ask people for their takes. I'll ask people for what they have, a concern they have, or, a topic that they want me to go over. And usually people will get back to me, and that's how, I'll throw it out there on my episodes. If you ever want to, give a take, maybe send me a video, or and I'll throw it up on the podcast, or you want to come on the show, by all means, you are more than welcome. I'll be more than happy to have you guys. Just let me know. Hit me up. Noved Ortiz, NOVEDORTIZ. But this is what I do most of the time. And I ask my girl to ask me questions about, the certain sport we're talking. Because I talk sports all day, every day. And usually she'll ask questions that get me thinking, that get the brain going. So I have a few questions to ask y'all. But first, let's go into the NFL news right now, the NFL news. We have, and by the way, if I sound a little tired, I'm tired as fuck. Last night I was playing 2K and Call of Duty all night with Deadmonger and Just Incredible. The Dead Space Entertainment. Shout out to Dead Space ENT. Subscribe, follow, rate, review. So if I sound a little tired, I'm pretty tired. Knowing damn well it's past my fucking bedtime. NFL news. We had in the Denver Broncos camp, they said that they are going to tailor the Denver Broncos offense to Russell Wilson. And water is wet, bro. Like what else were they gonna do? You know what I'm saying? The thing about this, my take on this though, I think it does give a chance for Russell Wilson to kind of spread his wings a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that he didn't do it in Seattle, but in Seattle, he was a rookie and he had to adapt and grow into a system, an NFL pro level system. Granted, it worked well, worked great, but now he's still in his prime on a whole new team with a new fresh start, a new chance to spread your wings, maybe do things differently that you wish he would have done before. And I think that he is one of the type of players who can still do that and still has the ability to do that, to change an offense. So it's no coincidence that the last time they had a top 5 quarterback in Peyton Manning, he took him to the Super Bowl twice and ironically lost to Russell Wilson, one of them. But it's no coincidence that they give them the keys. They say, here, motherfucker, drive. Like the organization just says, here, drive. This is your team. So I think that's what they're doing right now. Russell Wilson, you're going to talk about a good team, bro. They're a good fucking squad. Top-notch receiving core, top-notch running back room, top-notch defense. Are they a top 5 team? Maybe. Are they a Super Bowl favorite? I don't think so right now, but you could talk me into it. I think you could talk me into saying that they could be a Super Bowl favorite, especially, but it's already known that division, but you could talk me into it. No doubt, especially with Russell Wilson right there. So fantasy implications, we'll be talking about that a little later, but yeah, Russell Wilson going to take the keys, getting the keys to the Denver Broncos car. Yeah, no shit. Water is wet. Next up, we have Jimmy Garoppolo. Of the San Francisco 49ers. The Seattle Seahawks say that they are talking, or what is it? Is it talking, or what is the word they use? Hold on, let me look it up. By the way, I'm getting all my information on JPA Football. Shout out JPA Football, not a sponsor. Oh, they discussed trading for Jimmy Garoppolo, the Seattle Seahawks. I think, I thought that they should have been in, not as front runner as Carolina, but they should have been there. Top 5 teams to be going after Baker Mayfield. Obviously, Carolina, they pulled the trigger on that. So I do think that they do it. I think that they do trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. And here's why. They don't have a quarterback right now. They have good enough players on that offense to make games competitive. And I don't think that Pete Carroll wants to tank. I just don't think he's that type of coach. I think he wants to stay in that winning mentality, that winning atmosphere, to say, you know what, even though we lost our quarterback, we're good, bro. We can still win. I think that that's the type of coach that Pete Carroll is. So I think that they will pay up for San Francisco. And I think San Francisco on the other hand, will be willing to trade him or will be willing to let go of him because, let's be real, Jimmy Garoppolo is a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. And if Trey Lance starts, he'll be a great backup. Let's be real. Like I have no problem with Jimmy Garoppolo. I know San Francisco 49ers fans, they're cool with Jimmy. They listen to Jimmy. They're cool with Jimmy. But they'll take a better quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So I think that they will trade him. I think San Francisco is willing to trade him because they got to give Trey Lance that chance. They got to give Trey Lance the chance. The trance. Yes, the trance. He's their future. He was picked very fucking early. They went after him to get him. And I know a lot of people in fantasy leagues and dynasty fantasy leagues, they want that Trey Lance train to fucking start rolling, bro. Because people, they had to sit out a whole year of him, you know what I'm saying? Unless you started him in that, I believe, 2-touchdown game. But they waited a whole year. They're waiting for him. So, yes, I do think it gets done because San Francisco, they want to get rid of it. They want to get paid for him. They want to get give him his due diligence, maybe keep him in that division. But I do think they want to start Trey Lance. And I think that Seattle Seahawks, they are a team that wants to continue to win. And you want to talk about a major upgrade for that team. DK Metcalf, Jarvis Landry, Rashad Penny, Chris Carson, Kenneth Walker, the running back they just drafted. That defense is, needs more help, but I think the offense still can be a good enough offense, especially for fantasy if Jimmy Garoppolo goes there. So what do y'all think? What is your take on Russell Wilson, getting the keys to the Denver Broncos car and Seattle Seahawks discussing the trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? I know that there was another report out of Tampa Bay saying that, they are not going to be trading for Jimmy Garoppolo. I know when Tom Brady retired for the first time. he There was a lot of news, a lot of speculation that maybe that they would want to be going after Jimmy Garoppolo. But then I think that they, at the end of the day, knew that Tom Brady was coming back. So they just stuck it out, waited for Brady to come back. So I knew that that was never probably going to happen. But what do y'all think? Let me know what y'all think, ladies and gentlemen. And all right, so here's some questions I want to ask you guys. Here's some questions I really, really want to ask you guys because my girl asked them to me and it got me thinking, and it gets the brain going. And football season is just around the corner. I'm excited for it, excited for college football, NFL, fantasy football. It's the best time of the year. It's the best time of the year. Let me drink some water. Right now, listen to some ads, people. I'll be right back. All right, here we go. Here's some questions I want to ask y'all that were asked to me. The first question is, what is one player that you didn't like at the beginning of their career, but ended up respecting them? One player. Now, this is kind of ironic because the player we just talked about him, but the player for me is Jimmy Garoppolo. Listen, I didn't like Jimmy Garoppolo because when he was on the San Francisco 49ers, they beat the Saints. Same thing with the Alex Smith. They beat the Saints. And last year, they fucking made it to the playoffs, knocking us out of the playoffs. Jimmy Garoppolo's team did that. I hated Jimmy Garoppolo. I hated that he was the quote unquote, the apprentice of Tom Brady. I hated that, bro. I hated that. But looking at his career, he's been great. He's been nothing short of a leader. All the hate that he gets from his own fan base is uncalled for because he's got there. He's been to a Super Bowl, almost damn near won it. Been to a couple of NFC Championship games, almost damn near won last year's. They've been to the playoffs multiple times. I think, around the San Francisco 49er fan base, they're cool with Jimmy, like I said. And I'm cool with Jimmy. He's a player I've come to respect. Like, why not? He gets the ball to where it needs to be put, and they win games when the team is healthy. That's what you want in a quarterback, and that's what he is, a time management. So that's the player who I did not like at the beginning, but I have come to respect. So what is one player for you that you hated at the beginning of his career and come to respect? Let me know, people. Let me know. All right, the next question. 2 players that you wish had longer careers. 2 players. Now, this is not subject just to NFL. This is for all sports. So who are 2 players? But since I was talking about the NFL, the first player that came to mind was Robert Griffin III. RG3. If y'all don't know who RG3 is, go look at a highlight. Please go look at the highlights. When Robert Griffin III came out of Baylor, I believe he went undefeated that season. And, I think he was the number 1 pick. He was the Heisman. He was great. He was spectacular. He had every box checked. He was fast. He was twitchy. But he was as calm in the pocket as Tom Brady. He was as poised, and he had ice in his veins like Joe Burrow. He had many different angles to throw the ball like Aaron Rodgers. And in that offense, the Washington Redskins offense, I believe they had Santana Moss and Alfred Morris, they ran that pistol to perfection with him. They were a fucking badass team. And they beat the Saints. And I remember they beat the Saints. They were like, God, this motherfucker was just a good quarterback. He was kind of like, he had the same poise as Russell Wilson, but the ability of like a Mahomesian type player, Rodgers, and then just calm in the pocket like Brady and Burrow. You know what I'm saying? That was great. That was great. Unfortunately, he got injured. And injuries do that. This is not an injury take, but I mean, I wish he had a longer career. He's still, his name is being thrown around, but he was never the same. But RG3 is one player who I wish had a longer career than he did. The next player who I wish had a longer career was, and we're going to switch over to the NBA, Brandon Roy of the Portland Trail Blazers. If you know who Brandon Roy is, then you know what it is. If you don't know who Brandon Roy is, go look up a highlight. Portland Trail Blazers, Brandon Roy. The skill and elite level play of this dude was on par with Dwayne Wade and Kobe. There I said it. It didn't matter who was in front of this man. The man was quick. The man was smart. The man was clutch. The man can drain it. He could take it to the hole. And it didn't matter who was in front of him. Tony Allen, Kobe, Paul Pierce, Dwayne Wade, young LeBron, Melo, AI, Darren Williams. Didn't fucking matter. It didn't matter who was in front of him. He was going to cook you. He's my, what like a little bit of the older fans would say is he's my Grant Hill, where people say Grant Hill was the shit. He was that dude, until the injury. But Grant Hill, he still had a long career. It just, he never was the same as before after the injuries. Brandon Roy was a motherfucking beast, bro. He is one of those players who I wish had a longer career. And I will never forget him. Because the man was fucking cold-blooded. Because who are two players that you wish had longer careers than what they did? They don't necessarily have to be like injury because of injury. There's a couple players that come to mind like Calvin Johnson or Luke Kuechly. Those players, they had their careers short just because they wanted to end it short. Barry Sanders, Let me know what are two players that you wish had a longer career. All right, my next question. Here's the next question. Now this can be kind of vague or general or whatever, but who are your top three most talented NFL players you yourself have ever seen? When I was asked this question, a lot of players came to mind. I couldn't think of one, but one stood out more than the rest. One player stood out more than the rest. And this player is Troy Polamalu, baby. Troy Polamalu of the Pittsburgh Steelers is the most talented player I have ever seen play football. He's the most talented player. Everything he did was spectacular. Every play he made changed the game, the style in which he did it. And it was just so of course he did that. Of course Troy Polamalu scooped up an interception in a snowy ass game, half an inch before it hits the ground. Of course he did that. Of course he timed the hike, jumped over the offensive line, and sacked the quarterback multiple times. Of course he did that. Of course he laid hat. For those of you who don't know who laid hat is, what laid hat is, of course he fucks up people. And I always go through this with who's the greatest safety. And I say Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed. Now, Ed Reed was all that too. But I think what does it for me was the style in which Troy Polamalu did it. And because of how short he was. And the hair, bro. The hair added everything to it. The hair was everything, bro. The Troy Polamalu hair was everything. You just seen this little fucking dude and just a fucking big ass flowing hair just flying and just cracking fools, getting picks, getting clutch defensive plays, helping that team win multiple championships. Troy Polamalu. And also, it helps out that he's from SC, bro. He's an SC. What do you want me to do? He's a Trojan. We Trojan fans up here. He is the most talented player I've ever seen play the game of football. Now I tried to go, different. I don't want to stay in the defensive side because there's other players on the defensive side that could take up these top three spots, but I didn't want to do that. So I went defense. My next one, I went quarterback. Now, this, I might kick myself in the ass listening to this over again. I might come back to it and change my, my answer maybe if you ask me later. I don't know. But I slept on it and it's still the same answer for me. At first, you had the Montana quarterback, the Bledsoe, the Brady. the timing quarterback. Now, then you started going into the quarterbacks who can do a little bit more. The Michael Vick, somebody who can run and throw, run and gun. In today's game, you have players like Mahomes, Herbert, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, still Brady, who can do it all. Not Brady, but you know what I mean. But who can do it all. Your Peyton Mannings, your Commanders. The most talented quarterback I've ever seen is Aaron Rodgers. It shouldn't be that much to argue, but I know some people will. My Green Bay Packers fan, Sour DJ. Shout out to Sour DJ, the champ of the 5 to Life Fantasy League. Champ. He understands. He knows Rodgers. I mean, he's a Packers fan. Y'all Packers fans, y'all know what it is. But the way this dude can take command of a game, the way this dude can throw from any fucking angle, the way this dude can stay so fucking poised, so calm, he could run, he could do everything on the field at his prime state. Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback. I didn't say the most dominant, most talented quarterback. There was one pass in particularly. There's a bunch of passes, They don't call him the Hail Mary King for nothing. There's a bunch of beautiful passes that he's thrown. His arm is like a fucking rubber band. You know what I'm saying? There's multiple passes that you could bring up. But one comes to mind, and I believe it was just a Sunday night regular season football game. And I believe they were down, and they were driving, and they drove to like the opponent's 35-yard line. And they were getting sacked or whatever. Some shit. And they hiked the ball, and Jordy Nelson, at this time, this was the Jordy Nelson era. Bad motherfucker. Shout out Jordy Nelson. He went all the way to the opposite side, the left side of the end zone. Rodgers is rolling out to the right. And not only is he rolling out to the right, he's creating depth. So he's getting further back. He's getting about 10 yards back from the scrimmage line because he's about to get sacked. He points to Jordy Nelson to go to all the way to the opposite side of the end zone before Jordan Nelson crosses the field goal post as Aaron Rodgers is getting sacked. And Rodgers, he knows he's going to get tackled, but he stays up a little bit and he leans back and he's getting tackled. And from which he threw the ball, the way he slang that bitch, the way he put that fucking Duke up in the air, the Duke, for those of you guys who don't know what the Duke is, it's the football. It spiraled and curved in and out to the backside pylon of the end zone into the breadbasket of Jordy Nelson. The greatest throw I've ever seen. The greatest throw I've ever seen, bro. So I think that Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback ever in the NFL. For me, that I have seen. I know it's probably going to be more. People are going to be like, oh, fuck you. What about this guy? Hey, it is what it is. Let me know who are your two. Now, the third most talented running back. I just gave it away. Well, it's a running back. The third most talented player that I've ever seen play, it was a lot of players going through my mind. No offense to all these other players who I love, who are obviously fucking the top tier of fucking athletes in the world, you know what I'm saying, who are the most talented. But this player, I had to give it up and I had to think, like, what the fuck? Who was the most talented running back? I wanted to choose receiver, but the Calvin Johnson, he was big and that cop out. It's probably a cop out. Randy Moss. He was very close. It was very close, Randy Moss. But I'm gonna have to go with Adrian Peterson, bro. Adrian Peterson, running back of the Minnesota Vikings. Prime Adrian Peterson, running back of the Minnesota Vikings. Was the most talented running back I have ever seen, bro. Now, we all know the most talented running back is Reggie Bush. We know that. But I didn't want to use that because that's my boy. You know what I'm saying? But AP at peak level, at prime level, tippy top level, there was nobody better. There is nobody better. There never has been anybody better. I know people would be like, what the fuck? Talking bullshit. Walter Payton. Hey, I didn't see Walter Payton. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't really too aware of Emmitt Smith's dominance. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about everything the running back can do, Adrian Peterson could do. He could catch the ball and take it yard. He could be in a power formation and run over your linebacker. He could be in the secondary and shake 2 DBs and have the breakaway speed 5th gear. I mean, the man was a fucking beast. Just the pinnacle running back, the tippy top running back. If you put, the top running backs ever at their certain prime, Adrian Peterson's at the top for me. I hated him. I was scared of him when we played against him as a Saints fan, but there was no fucking doubt that this man was the best running back ever in the NFL at his time. So those are my top 3 most talented NFL players that I have ever seen. Troy Polamalu of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers, and Adrian Peterson of the Minnesota Vikings. Let me know who are your top 3 most talented NFL players that you have ever seen. Not who you think, not what you've heard. People always do this in NBA. They go, oh, well, Jordan was this. Like, motherfucker, you ain't see Jordan. You ain't see Will Chamberlain. You ain't see Magic. The top 3 most talented players that you have ever seen. You yourself. Let me know, people. Let me know. All right, next question that I'm going to ask you guys. That was asked to me, and I'm going to give you guys my answers. What are your top 3 games that you wish you could see for the first time again? Top 3 games. And this is not, it was asked to me in a football light. So my answers will be football. But I want to know your top 3 games, all sports. Could be a soccer match. Could be a baseball game. Could be a basketball game. Hockey match. Could be a boxing match. Could be a UFC fight card. Could be an NFL Super Bowl. Or no, not Super Bowls. Let's not do Super Bowls. Let's just go iconic, memorable games. So, of course, for me, it could have been, the 2010 Saints Colts Super Bowl, but I'm not gonna do that cop out. But the top 3 games that I wish I could see again for the first time, the number 1 game I think of can come to mind is the 2017 Rose Bowl game, USC versus Penn State, my boys. This game, to me, is very, very sentimental. You know what I mean? It has a lot more sentimental value towards me because I was watching it with my family, and I was watching it with my grandpa, who I miss very much. And, that was our thing, We'd all get together and watch SC, every Saturday and every bowl game they went to, and especially the Rose Bowl, my boy. New Year's Day, the granddaddy of them all. Woof. This day I remember working and, and I was watching the game on my phone and shit, and we were losing at halftime. And I remember I called my manager, and this is when, because I work receiving, and I said there was no more trucks coming in. I had no reason being there on New Year's Day. I told my manager, like, hey, is it cool if I leave early? He's like, you want to leave early from work? I was like, abso-fucking-lutely, bro. So at halftime, I fucking slammed down the freeway all the way down to my pad, got there at the second half, and then we ended up beating Penn State. And this was that Sam Darnold magic year. Everybody knows Sam Darnold for the Carolina Panthers and the Jets and what he's done in the NFL, whatever. But this was that Sam Darnold magic year with SC where it was just happening. Things were just happening. And there was a last drive and a game-winning field goal. I believe it was like a 45-yarder field goal to win the game. We beat Penn State as time runs out, 52-49 in the Rose Bowl. Now, I might be biased because I'm an SC fan. But to me, that's the greatest game I've ever seen in my life. Not only because of the game itself, which was great, but the atmosphere. The New Year's Day, the menudo, the family, that everybody's kind of hungover. And most of all, my grandpa was there. So that game is a little bit sentimental towards me. The next game that I wish that I could see for the first time again. This game it could be and it could go down as the greatest football game ever played. And a lot of y'all are going to know where I'm going with this one. I was living with my uncle at this time, and it was just a Monday night football game. It was set to be a big game. It's going to be an exciting game, a powerhouse game of two powerhouse teams, an NFC powerhouse and an AFC powerhouse. This was on November 19th, 2018. The Los Angeles Rams hosted the Kansas City Chiefs on a Monday night football game. The Rams ended up winning 54-51. I believe in overtime. I believe it was in overtime. But just because the score was 54-51 doesn't mean it wasn't a great game. This game had everything you wanted inside of a football game. It had great defense. Don't let the score fool you. It was great defense. There was a lot of defensive interceptions ran back. Fumbles ran back. Fumbles, stoppages, punts, big time bombs. And this was the rise of Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce, that Kansas City Chiefs team. It was the rise of that team. Two powerhouses. You had the Rams, on the other hand. They had Todd Gurley, who was the best running back in the league at the time. Excuse me. You had, I believe, Brandon Cooks on that team. Robert Woods, who was doing work. Cooper Kupp was on that squad. Jared Goff was playing nice. Sean McVay was coaching that team to perfection. They had a great defense. I believe this was the year they went to the Super Bowl. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this was such a good fucking game. Down to the fucking wire. Some of my family members are Rams fans, so they won. And not only that, it was in the Coliseum too. So for me, that is probably the greatest game. You can make an argument for the greatest game ever. A lot of people will say the Ice Bowl or whatever. Yeah, well, I don't remember that. But the greatest game I've ever seen, besides the SC Penn State Rose Bowl game, was the Monday night Los Angeles Rams versus Kansas City Chiefs games. And all my Rams fans, y'all know what I'm talking about. Even the Kansas City fans who I know, y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about, bro. It was a good ass fucking game. I believe, did they go to the Super Bowl or not? I don't know who went to the Super Bowl. I think they might have gone to the Super Bowl, the Rams. And they lost to the Patriots, I believe, that year. Correct me if I'm wrong, people. Correct me if I'm wrong. All right, now, this next game, my third game I wish I could see again for the first time is the 2010 NFC Championship game. This is the New Orleans Saints versus the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I said I wasn't going to use Super Bowl. This is not a Super Bowl. This is an NFC Championship game. Reason why. This whole game was the game we had to win in order to get to the Super Bowl. People counted us out. Now, we had a great season. The Saints had a great season, great offense. I believe we almost went undefeated. We had just beat the Arizona Cardinals. We beat them down. And, it was the people just had us losing. They had us losing to the Minnesota Vikings because Brett Favre reignited his career there. After the Jets, he went to the fucking Minnesota Vikings and was just dominant. Sidney Rice at the time was a dominant receiver. Not to mention badass AP, Adrian Peterson in that running back. It was scary, bro. It was scary. So the game was back and forth. There was some big plays happening. Defense stepped it up really big. We didn't really bottle up Adrian Peterson. I remember they scored quick though with AP, but we didn't really bottle him up, but we did enough to stop, the momentum of the run. And a lot of things happened. I believe Reggie had a big play that game. Lance Moore had a big 2-point conversion. Jeremy Shockey, there was that Jeremy Shockey squad that Lance Moore, Pierre Thomas, Reggie Bush, Drew Brees squad. And even as we're driving down and time is running out and we have a field goal opportunity, I still couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Even as it went right through the middle of the uprights, I was jumping up and fucking down. We're going to the Super Bowl. Oh my God. I couldn't believe it, bro. I was in disbelief. And the whole time, it was funny too. It's a little bit sentimental for me too. My grandparents, my grandpa, he would always give me a hard time about my players, about my team, Shout out to Dougie Deadmonger. He would give us fucking hard time about Kobe, even, just give us a hard time. And he was the whole game just talking shit to me, like, doesn't look too good for them. They're gonna miss the field goal. And when they made it and I was jumping down, the excitement in me, the happiness in his face was priceless, bro. Like, he was cheering for me all along. You know what I'm saying? And so when that happened, it was the greatest feeling ever. I mean, the greatest feeling was with them winning the Super Bowl, but we're not counting that right now. But yeah, these are the top 3 games I wish that I could watch all over again for the first time. I'm getting chills just thinking about these 3 games. So the 1, SC Penn State Rose Bowl 2017. 2, 2019 Monday Night Football game, Los Angeles Rams versus Kansas City Chiefs. And 3, 2010 NFC Championship game, New Orleans Saints versus the Minnesota Vikings. What is your top 3 games that you wish you could see all over again? Again, not just NFL. We could soccer, any sport. What are the 3 games that you wish you could watch all over again? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in your tag. Maybe send me a video and I'll share it with you guys, ladies and gentlemen. But I believe that's all I have for you today. It's a short episode. Lately, Mondays, we've been having these short episodes because, there's not a lot going on right now. But once the NFL season starts cracking and we getting more UFC updates, we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. Look out for tonight. We're going to be recording with the Dead Space Entertainment. So be on the lookout for that episode. Wednesday Nighters, if you want to join my Wednesday Nighter episode, is where we talk about miscellaneous things. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get into Thor, all that stuff, anything outside of sports, or if you want to talk about sports Wednesday night, let me know. So be on the lookout for that episode. And then Thursday, I will be recording with Victor the Guru. We will be talking about our UFC Fantasy League. We're going to give y'all updates. We're going to give y'all predictions for the UFC going forward. And then we're going to have a fantasy football topic. So going forward, we're going to be looking forward to the fantasy football topics. It's going to be big as the season is coming up. Let me know what y'all think, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and also we will be having an article about our UFC Fantasy League coming out soon, just so you guys can get a little bit, maybe a little more insight as to why we started doing this. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for commenting, sharing, rating, reviewing. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Alright, so this is a No Education podcast.